What is up, everybody? This is Oddball Frequency, your number one source for a waste of time, electronic music, Dr. Pepper, and pizza. But tonight we have a very special guest. We have Mr. Will Wood from Will Wood and the Tapeworms. Will Wood and the Tapeworms is an experimental rock project from North Jersey, led by none other than Will Wood. With genre-defining, upbeat swing, glamorous, and psychedelic sounds, Will Wood and the Tapeworms have 2 studio albums and a live album in the works on the way, and have taken over the underground scene in almost all of Jersey, pretty much. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Will Wood.
Howdy, yo.
How's it going?
It's
great to have you.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I'm doing all right, hanging in there, if not by the skin of my teeth. Thank you for having me on the show.
It's great to have you. This is really exciting. It's nice to have a person in the studio again.
Yeah.
Like, I can hear the music. I can actually see a face.
Yeah.
I gotta find a good place to upload the episodes, but I might try Bandcamp. This sounds pretty good. So, Will Wood and the Tapeworms. I'm sure it's been like a pretty crazy ride so far. Even though the band, as far as studio albums, it's only maybe about a few years old. I know that you writing music before that has gone on many years before that. Has the whole process of releasing the albums and writing music for the band, has that gone by fast or slow at any points? What do you think?
It depends on my mood. Sometimes I feel like this is dragging, and other times I feel like, oh my god, I can't keep up. It really depends on what I've got going on. I think as much as any other industry, but maybe particularly so, the music industry is really time sensitive.
Yeah. And it's getting more and more time sensitive.
It really,
as time goes on, I think.
It seems to be. You have to constantly be putting something out, constantly be doing something to get people's attention, and also my clock is ticking, man. I'm in my mid-20s. I'm 20 years old, and any day now I'm gonna be, knocking on the door of the 27 club and showing my ID and
Mr. Old over here.
Yeah, they'll stop asking for your ID.
Stop asking, yeah.
Yeah. Although I got carded for cigarettes recently, and I felt really good about myself.
Nice.
My hair is thinning. It's falling out. Is it chemically induced? For the most part, yes. Also maybe stress. Also maybe mid-20s hair loss.
Find out next week.
A maturing headline, so to speak. But hairline, headline is not maturing headline.
Something.
That's not a thing.
Something may be a thing. I don't know. Would you mind talking just a pinch closer to the mic?
I'm sorry. Is this better?
Oh, it's much
that's
better.
better.
It's just one. All right, cool.
All right. So it's obvious that the band has become a massive hit within Jersey. I mean, I went on your Facebook page before I even knew you, and apparently like 5 or 10 people from my grade from high school were already liking the page. So I was like, okay, this might be a thing. And what other areas around the country do you know that you've received praise for your music?
I'm really shocked at where some of the reviews and some of my fans come from. Some of my online merch orders. Russia,
Russia?
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've got fans in Russia. Some of my best markets are Finland and Denmark, and nothing in Japan yet. I don't think that I feel like Japan gets a different internet than us. I know
Yeah.
that's not actually true. It's the World Wide Web, aside from North Korea, as far as I understand. But I listen to anime theme songs. No, I don't.
Yeah, whatever you say.
Never mind. I'm gonna forget what I was saying about that.
What were we talking about?
Different countries, other than Japan, not Japan.
Don't think I didn't see you post Death Note stuff
I never
on your
did anything
Facebook.
like that. I don't know what you're talking about.
As long as you don't think the live action is as good as the anime, we're doing
Then
good.
we're still buds, and you can stay on the show.
I feel like you see me floundering for words here. It's because there are no words in the English language that describe how horrible that movie is.
That is a true statement. That
I think
really
there might be
is.
words in Japanese for it.
Oh, yeah.
There's no direct translation.
There's no. Nani.
But Finland was a surprising discovery. I got a review for Selfish from France, some small
Wow.
publication in France. Yeah, it was very poetic, but at the same time not in like great English, so it was kind of confusing to read. But it was really flattering. apparently people are telling me to go to Portland and stuff like that. They're saying, "Hey, come to Portland." I'm like, I can't afford to.
I can't.
If they pay, they'll tell them.
That's what I'm saying.
If you guys want to pay for a ticket, I mean, like,
Yeah, then we'll talk.
I'm gonna need $1,200, but or whatever it costs to get to Portland. You know, I've got some friends in Detroit and Ohio.
Mhm.
You know, there's some surprising places, really. North Carolina, of all places. You know, I'm like a weird, pretty at least liberal seeming guy.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that some of the places where I get some support. I guess you know, I've been lucky in that regard.
Where was the farthest from Jersey you've ever performed?
I guess Detroit. Last year I went on a tour that I dubbed the Terrible Frigid Last Minute Tour 2016 because it was terrible, it was frigid, and it was booked extremely last minute. I was shoved in a lot of basements in between acts that were really supposed to be playing, and I was kind of interrupting their flow, but they were trying to be nice and support the local scene.
Details.
Touring artist, yeah. I went as far as Detroit, played an anarchist housing collective called Trumbleplex there. Unbelievable, really strong.
That's
scene
an
in
interesting
Detroit.
name.
Yeah, and just a really cool place. One of the coolest places I've ever played.
Cool. Yeah. I feel like you kind of already answered my question, but the next question is, do you plan to expand your music across the country as much as possible?
Of course.
Of course. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
he wants to make sure that he makes no money and that he's completely local.
Yeah,
No
really
He wants to
money.
only perform at his high school, right?
yeah, I just really want to rub it in my high school class's face
Basement
that I'm
bars.
big in New Jersey. And
Exactly. So is there any news that we could possibly hear about the new album?
News? Well, it's just about done. It's we just finished mixing. There's still some mastering left to do, and then there's all the post-production minutia we have to wade through. You know, printing and reproduction and talking to labels, and it's annoying because
Yeah.
I'd like to just pump it out right now, but there's some stuff going on behind the scenes that I can't talk much about, but is making it a slower process, but probably going to have some bigger results. So
Cool.
It's a toss-up, you know. I have to kind of, you know, let go of some of my personal time sensitivity in order to, you know, take it slow and make the right moves.
Yeah. I'm guessing there's at least probably going to be a CD release.
Oh, yeah, of
Hopefully.
course, yeah.
That's cool.
Anybody who came out to either of the shows that were recorded for it will be getting a CD in the
Oh,
mail
wow.
for coming out and
Cool.
supporting.
Where was the show located? If
There
you
were
can
t-
give that
there
away,
were-
I mean.
Yeah, well, there were two shows. One of them was at Backroom Studios in Rockaway. It's a studio run by Party Smasher Incorporated. Ben Wyman and Kevin Entrezen of the Dillinger Escape Plans recording studio, and it was quite a show. I don't even know what other words to use for it.
I mean, you made an album out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was the first time I had ever sweat so much.
Really?
We were locked in like a sauna of a room. 'Cause it was on a live room, which is soundproofed, which means it's not usually very well ventilated. And there was confetti in that recording studio for months following. I know about that because
hope
I
so.
was sweeping. Cool place. I recorded both my albums there. And the second one was at a place called Roxy and Duke's, the last great cabaret club in the United States. I swear to you, it is a beautiful place. The decor, the sound, the lights, the whole thing is just, in my opinion, the best place to play in New Jersey. At least for what I do, there is no better. And it was this sold-out show featuring myself and a 10-piece band and a 4-piece trapeze act, opened by gypsy punk band Bella's Bar Talk, and definitely one of the best shows. Definitely the best show, I'd have to say. I'd even put it up there. People don't like hearing about something being the best thing.
Yeah.
People don't like to. They like
No,
to hear,
trust
oh,
me,
one of the
we
best.
like that.
Yeah.
That's what we ask. We always ask specifically, what is your favorite blah de blah de blah? We like
Yeah,
asking
not-
those questions.
Yeah,
I-
'cause
I'm sorry.
people always confuse that when you say what is your favorite versus what is the best, because like my favorite movie is different than what I think is the best movie.
That's it.
Yeah,
And, like,
by
and
far.
also I say the same thing with like my like music taste, like all these things. Like I can can see, like, I like this specifically more, but I could say that one thing is better.
Right.
Because, like, favorite means, like, it means more to you. Like, for some reason, it hit you at a good time in your life or whatever.
Yeah, favorite is more of an emotional thing,
Yeah.
whereas what you think is the best is more of a cognitive.
Yeah,
cognitive,
definitely.
unnecessary word. Unnecessarily verbose. Yeah, people usually don't seem to like being told, oh, this was my favorite, this was the best. You know, I told my mother that my tour last year was the best experience of my life. And I mean that, it really was. And she was, like, offended, I guess, because maybe,
What
I don't
about
know.
my birthday?
She didn't like it. She was maybe she was feeling like, oh, that was the best you could, come on, nothing better's happened to you, my booby. But at the same time, you know, I just thought it was kind of funny. But it was the best show I've ever played. Aside from, I'd say, when I played with Gogo Bordello at Starland Ballroom last year.
Starland Ballroom is pretty cool.
I love that place.
That's a
and
good
I love
venue.
Gogo Bordello, yeah. But this was one of my favorite shows, if not this was my favorite show because I finally got an opportunity to work with backing vocalists and a full horn section and a trapeze act. You know, you
That
can't
must
go
be
wrong
really
with that.
fun.
It was a lot of fun.
That sounds like it was amazing.
It was a sold out show. I had a fan come all the way from Chicago just to see the show. And people were like crying, and I felt like Jesus, but also terrified at the same time. I guess Jesus was probably scared because he knew he was going to die and stuff.
Yeah, and all that good stuff.
I probably shouldn't go around saying I felt like Jesus, but if I'm going to be like honest with people, it made me feel like Jesus.
This is only FM. I mean, like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me
If we're
wrong.
on XM, maybe.
I'm not saying I am Jesus. I'm not saying I am. I'm just saying I
Feel-
felt like
but I
it.
never-
feeling
I'm just-
like and is Jesus are two different things.
Right, if I'm Jesus,
mean-
I'm gonna let that. You know, somebody else will have to say that. not
Yeah,
me,
I've never seen you and Jesus in the same place at the same
I-
time. So, like, you know, I'll just say that.
That is true. I can concur that fact.
There's also a chance I'm Batman.
That's true.
I don't know. I think I saw Batman with you like at one point.
He
Not
was
with
at one of
Will.
my shows last year. Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh
yeah.
Bruce Mann. I mean Bat Wayne was at one of my shows last year.
Bat Wayne?
Bruce Mann.
Bruce.
Yeah, it was fantastic. What was the question again? I got so derailed
What
because
was it?
I found myself saying I felt like Jesus, and then I started feeling like a huge narcissist, and now I'm ashamed.
It all started with, like, what can you say about the new album? And then we
Yeah,
just
we just asked what any news about the new album, and then it just went down.
What can you say about the new album? I'm the Messiah.
I'm Jesus. Next question, please.
What? Well, going off.
I told you I was
going
gonna
to
ruin my
about
career
shows
tonight.
and everything. What specifically were some of your favorite moments from a show you've done? Just like specific moments, not like which show, but yeah.
Or, like, craziest
And it doesn't have to
moments.
be just from one show, like different moments from a bunch of different shows that you like, whether it's like some random crazy like fan or like something weird happened while
Did
you're
you
playing.
die at one of your
Yeah,
shows?
did you die?
Literally?
I did not do that yet, but I hope that it happens.
Yes.
The sooner the better. Former saxophone player David Higdon. Now he's a producer and engineer in Nashville. He used to ride people's shoulders while playing the saxophone.
Whoa.
I had the pleasure of being carried out of a venue by a very large man who then dropped me, and I landed directly on his chest. He did not die, but I felt like he should have, because I am closer to
probably-
200 than 100 pounds, and that is a rib cage.
He probably wanted to die. We could say that.
Yeah, you know what? Probably. I think a fair number of people who come to my shows do. I think that's one of the
Yes.
things we all have in common at a Will Wood and the Tapeworms show, is that we all have at least a little bit of a death wish.
Exactly.
But
A colorful death wish.
yeah, I mean those were great experiences. It's been great to just share the stage with such a variety of different people. There have been times where people have been injured. Former bassist and producer of my first record and co-producer of my second record, John Maisto, broke a rib at a show. He used to get very violent on stage, and he broke a rib by launching himself into an amp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he was a health hazard. Guitarist, longtime guitarist, only long-standing member since the first record was released. Mike Bottolieri can be a wrecking ball on stage too, so we have a lot of fun on stage. More so my bandmates than myself, because I'm relegated to a single stationary place at the keyboard. But I try to make up for it by kicking it and pounding my head against the keys, and
you gotta stay in character. You gotta
make
keep
sure
the
you
show
hurt
going.
yourself as much as possible.
I do have to make sure I hurt myself as much as possible. My therapist says that I shouldn't, but I think that it's a good idea. It's very cathartic.
Therapists, what do they know?
Right? Screw them.
Random question: does 2012 have a Wilhelm scream in it?
It does.
Yes.
I'm really thrilled that somebody noticed that.
And also, is that because of Star Wars or what?
It just worked. I think
Gotcha.
it was the right move for me. Sure, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, any Lucasfilm, Spielberg movie. Sure, why not? I like the Wilhelm screen.
It's perfect.
It cracks me up every time I notice it.
It is the best audio clip that's ever been made, honestly.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
it's like my leg of the film industry. Yeah,
I'm so glad you said that.
I can see that Mr. Danny over there is wearing a
what?
Star Wars
Yeah.
shirt.
Oh, check it out.
As everyone who's listening can tell, I'm wearing a Star Wars
Yeah, I mean,
shirt
you guys
right
can
now.
see through the
You
audio,
can see.
right?
We got faces for radio. Now it seems maybe not slightly obvious that in the past, I'm not saying you have or haven't, but psychedelics may or may have not taken influence on your art style and your music.
How dare you accuse me of engaging in such a behavior?
I don't know. I'm just saying maybe a flat out maybe. But if that was the case, do you think it would have influenced your sound or visuals more with your music?
If I had
This is all
had-
hypothetically.
If I had dabbled in hallucinogenic entheogens, let's say that I had,
some
not saying I have, but
Yeah.
hypothetically,
In a
if I
perfect world.
had,
In a world.
in a world where I did, I would imagine that the experience provided to me by such sensory enhancing and distorting
Devilish
drugs
acts.
would probably have somewhat of an irreversible and profound effect on my psyche in general, let alone my art.
Let alone remembering 2012.
Yeah,
at certain
or any.
points.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've had more drugs in me than a CVS.
From what I've heard by stories, is it true you actually can't remember parts of 2012?
From the end of 2011 to the beginning of 2013 is a black hole.
It's just gone.
I am reminded of things that I did once in a while, and I go, "Oh, wow! I'm sure glad that that's in my past."
That seems like a cool guy. I
That
wish
certainly
I were
can't
him.
come back to haunt me and ruin my career.
I've always been curious about amnesia and stuff like that, but that's crazy.
It's
Wow.
it's gone, and it's it's just one of those things that I came out of the fog and I had to kind of like repiece my brain back together. I was in bands that there are recordings of.
Oh,
Jeez.
Yeah.
and you don't remember any of it at all?
I
Yeah.
do not.
That's crazy.
I'm reminded of times where I was kicked off stage or yelled at by promoters or arrested, but apparently I fancied myself a little junior Jim Morrison back in the day, and I made a lot of mistakes.
All you need is like a doctor to come up to you and be like, dude, you discovered the cure for cancer in 2012. Like, do you still remember it? Like, you told us to come back in 5
Unless it
years.
was acid.
There you go. You told us come back in 5 years, and then I'll give you the answer.
Come back in 5 years. Listen, I got the cure for cancer. Talk to me in 5 years, and you can have it.
It's all
That's
yours.
that's how actually they do science. They find a cure and they're like, let's just wait
Table
5
it.
years.
Money is
Table it.
pretty
Yeah,
nice.
let's make sure we just let some more people suffer. Then they'll really want it.
Yeah.
It'll be funny. Trust me, guys.
It'll be hilarious.
This question I can kind of ask a little bit more. Even though your music videos kind of have a psychedelic inspiration to it, I personally feel that I enjoy your music the most when I'm drinking or drinking with friends or in like a bar setting. What do you think about that? Because it seems very jivey and upbeat, and just like I could just imagine like a bunch of people standing on like a bar table with a bunch of like giant glasses of beer, kicking their feet in the air to, I don't know, random song.
I can tell you this much. I would never listen to my music while tripping.
I agree, yeah.
And I can't in good conscience recommend it. because to me it sounds like that would be a really unpleasant experience. For most people, my music is an unpleasant experience sober.
Yeah, it is.
And if you're gonna pop some LSD on your tongue and listen to some of the messed up stuff that I've put out, I think you're probably gonna have a bad time.
God help you at that point.
But some people tell me otherwise. I also know that I don't drink.
Yeah.
So I have never listened to my music drunk. I maybe may have after I released my first record, but I haven't drank in like 2 years.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's a lot of fun, but most things are fun to do when you're drunk.
That's very true.
You know.
There's completely been like movies and albums and random stuff that I hated before, I was sober, and then I started drinking, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Not including your music, of course. Wink, wink.
What are you trying to say to me, man?
I don't know.
You trying to tell me that my music's no good unless you're drunk?
Next question.
It's only good if you're on acid. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, only.
Yikes! That's a high ticket thing.
I had a friend who went to a not Slipknot. Who am I thinking of?
Ugh.
I know.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have just criticized a band.
That poor band.
Did you say they're a poor band?
Yeah, that poor band. They've only had like
poor band. They've only made
massive
millions of
success for
dollars.
like 17 years plus.
It was Ramstein. They went to see Ramstein
I love
on
Rammstein. I mean, I used
acid and mothballs, and they said it was like the great.
mothballs?
to. What are mothballs?
Wait, am I saying something wrong?
Can you
What
can
is
you
a
get high on mothballs? Because if so,
Just give me your address then.
I'm gonna rummage through my attic and
What am
see if I
thinking
can.
of? Oh, bath salts.
Okay.
I don't know what is a mothball.
A moth? I don't. Moth. I think moth. Wow, I actually don't know what a mothball is.
I don't know.
What
I
is
don't know
that?
either. If I'm being honest.
Man, wow.
Wow, I feel like I just really showed my age.
It's got to be something.
I guess we're not
who
hip
knows?
enough.
Showed
for
my
that.
youth. I mean.
Either we're not hip enough, or we're not. Either we're not hip enough, or we're not old enough.
Yeah, all these kids, eating mothballs and listening to the Ramstein. I can't keep up, man.
I'm still stuck in the 40s, man. How do you come up with such interesting song names? Very curious about that.
I've always felt like a song isn't necessarily over until I've put a title, or necessarily done. It's another opportunity to add to the lyrics, to add to the sort of poetry of the piece. And so I was never really just satisfied with putting a title that was like maybe the lyrics of the
this
chorus
song
in
is
there.
called Birds.
Yeah, some songs are best with a concise lyric or a title. But for instance, the song Mr. Capgrass encounters a secondhand vanity, tulpomancer's prosopagnosis / pareidoles directional trauma to the fusiform gyrus. Those are all words that I put in there because I felt like they actually added something to the song. They added meaning to the
context,
song.
Yeah.
Now, are most of those words ridiculous, obscure, esoteric phrases that nobody's going to know the definition of? Yes. Is that maybe pretentious? Maybe.
That's not important.
Just a little bit.
That's not the point.
But the point is for it to be words that nobody understands. It's part of my intention with that. And if you do go ahead and Google some of the big words in some of my titles, I think that you'd find some fun stuff that kind of adds to the lyrics of the song. So
Red Moon. Classic.
Well, Red Moon is one of those situations where I just stuck the
just put it on
the
there.
lyric on there. Yeah, I didn't have anything else to say about it. I wish I did. The song titles. I always thought it's another opportunity to add some creativity there and express myself a little further. So why not use it?
That kind of bleeds into my next question, actually. Is there anything from your past albums that you wish you could change at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like what?
Like I wish I could record the entire thing over again.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it your voice that's changed, or just your musical abilities?
My musical capabilities, my technical capabilities, my voice, my intentions, my feelings about the music. But they do kind of serve as milestones in my life, and so I look back and let's say Everything Is a Lot, because that's really what I'm talking about here. My first record, Everything Is a Lot. Whoa, I just woke up. You ever just wake up?
A little
You ever
bit.
just have a moment where you just wake up and you remember you exist?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And
Now
it's-
that's happening. Hold
and
on a
it
sec.
sucks.
Oh, no.
Random existential crisis.
Ah!
Mid-radio show.
Oh, God. Okay, so the first record was a complete, it was born of chaos and nonsense and incompetence. Everything that happened. Oh my God, it's happened. I'm having a stroke.
Yay!
Everything that went on behind the scenes of Everything Is a Lot was chaos, disarray, suffering, and just existential confusion incarnate. I was young, I was drunk, I was uncertain of who I was, what I wanted to be, and what I wanted to do with music, and so I just piled a bunch of strangers into a recording studio, called them tapeworms, shoved clarinets down their throat, and told them attitude comes before talent, and that didn't help them have a good attitude, and it didn't help their talent because they were like, okay, there's a man yelling at me.
It should have.
He's holding a bottle of whiskey in a fairly threatening manner. He's got a look in his eye that I don't really trust. I don't want to work with this dude. He's not even paying me. And what ended up happening is we kind of cobbled a bunch of stuff together in post and just stitched this nonsense together. There was no band back then for the first record.
It's just
there
some
were no
project
tapeworms.
thing.
I just called it Will Wood and the Tapeworms because I wanted to sell T-shirts and I wanted to hit the road with the band. Nobody's just gonna buy a Will Wood T-shirt. They're gonna be like, who's Will Wood? I'm not buying this. Ever see somebody with a Tom Waits T-shirt? No.
Exactly.
Ever see anybody with a Bob Dylan T-shirt? Not as often as you see people with like a, I don't know, Led Zeppelin T-shirt.
I don't know. A lot
A
of people
Robert
like Bob
Plant.
Dylan though.
But are they wearing Bob Dylan T-shirts? You don't see that very often.
Hey,
That is true.
you don't.
Or you ever see a
but
Bob
that-
Weir
well, then again,
T-shirt? You see Grateful Dead T-shirts instead.
But then again, you don't really see many. But I mean, you see mainly like Nirvana and like
But
that
there,
kind
but
of
there
stuff.
you go. You're selling a band. I wanted to sell a band. I wanted to be like,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
I have
Yeah.
a band. Blah blah
A
blah.
band sounds a lot better than a name, you know?
Yeah, and it wasn't until after the
Like
record
most
was
people
done.
wear the
Unless
Beatles.
you're Jimi Hendrix.
Most people wear the Beatles, not Paul McCartney.
Right. And it wasn't until the record was done that I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to put a band together. I asked my old friend Mike Baldalieri, who I was in a band that I apparently was in like 2012.
apparently.
And he and I put together a band and just started playing the songs. And since then, over 36 different people have been called tapeworms and pushed out on stage and told attitude comes before talent. And Mike has been there with me since then. But my point being that if I could, I would love to do that record over again with Mike and with some of the people I've worked with since then, because it's allowed my vision and my understanding of how I want to create music grow quite a bit. And I think some of those songs would be great if I could just do them right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that was where I was in my life right now. And I think that there's an honesty of that record. There's an honesty with that record that where you can really hear the incompetence. You can really hear what it was. You can really hear the difficulty and the struggle that went into putting it together. And I think that makes it a unique work of art. I think that every great work of art is defined partially by its flaws that are not always recognized as flaws by their listeners. But like, oh, that was on purpose and stuff like that. When really some of the best things happen by accident, necessity is a mother of invention, my point. It's what makes it what it is, and so I'm happy with it being what it is because it's an honest reflection of where I was in my life at that time.
Yeah.
That was a mouthful.
No, that was a great answer.
I'm saying too many words.
That was a very good answer.
Great.
And also
Cool.
the whole you going crazy part.
Hit me with the next one, boss.
What was I gonna say? I was gonna like follow up a little bit on what you were saying. Like, I guess like the pro of playing a live show is you can kind of change the little nooks and crannies of
I've
past
always
songs.
held that a live show and a recording are two entirely different art
That is-
forms.
yeah,
Much
exactly.
like there's a difference in a movie and a play, and a book and a play, or whatever it is. Those are entirely different things. They're not the same media. Sure, they're both music.
Or like
they're
a
both,
book and a game.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. They're two different things. They're both presentations of the same basic story. You know, you can have a movie based on a book, but that book is going to be a totally different experience from the movie.
Yeah, like Harry Potter versus the movies.
right,
They're
exactly.
completely different things.
Yeah, they made Ron Weasley a. I can't curse on the radio.
FM radio.
Yeah.
FM radio.
But they made him a wuss. Wuss. And where are the words? They got stuck.
They're in there
Shake them
somewhere.
out, William. They're entirely different art forms, and so I like to take advantage of the opportunity to keep that music living and keep it breathing and always changing. So you come to see a Will Wood and the Tapeworms show, do not expect to hear what you hear on the record, because
No, I like that.
hate concerts with a burning passion. I do not like concerts. I don't go to a concert, I have a bad time. You know why? Because I could just sit at home and hear the same thing on record.
I've actually heard that comment before
Yep.
by a lot of people. A lot of people don't go to shows because they just think like, I bought $10 for the CD and I could listen to that for the rest of my life. Why
Right,
would
exactly.
I spend $60 for like an hour?
I hate concerts. I love shows. And I want to make sure that what I do is a show and that it's
Exactly.
different from just sitting at home listening to it. So Mike and I work out new ways to perform these songs. Especially since I'm always in need of doing so, simply because I've changed lineups so many times.
Yeah.
I like to keep it fresh that way and make sure that nobody's seeing the same show twice.
Exactly. Which is great because
That's what people want anyways. It's like if you just go on, play the songs exactly how they are, it's like cool.
It's
Yeah.
like you did it. Like,
Exactly. You
Congrats.
did the thing I knew you could do and have seen you do before.
I'm really glad you did exactly what I expected you to do and nothing new.
Yeah.
half
Right.
my $80 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like my favorite show that I ever went to was Tenacious D, and it was in 2012.
Oh, that
and
sounds
like
like fun.
it wasn't just the music. Like they have a song called The Metal, and they had this giant robot come out, and they were like fighting the robot as they were playing the song, and then like Satan himself comes on. They challenge him to a rock off, and like that's from the movie, but they actually reenacted it during the show, and it's just a bunch of stuff like that, which is like it just adds so much to like the music and whatnot, and like this you're paying money to see these people,
Yeah.
it's just stuff like that.
Yeah, you should at least do something special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is glad to hear that you do. And I've seen YouTube videos. I've not yet taken the pleasure to see you live, but I've seen YouTube videos of you live, and it seems like they're crazy. They seem really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I think we can take a 2 or 3 song break. This is Cassius, 1999. Then we're going to play Blockhead, Pogo, maybe the Wise Guys, and yeah, we'll come back when we come back. Take it easy, guys. And we're back to Oddball Frequency, your number one source for a waste of time. Dr. Pepper, free candy, some guy named Will Wood. But before all that, we're going to go over to sports and weather to AJ.
Hello, it is 7:56 p.m. and you're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. I'm AJ Malula with your news update. In U.S. news, Maryland gunman killed 3 and wounded 2 others at his job in Maryland earlier today. According to the authorities, he then shot a 6th person at a Delaware car dealership hours later. The final victim will be the shooter. The victim identified the shooter as 37-year-old Radeh Labib Prince, who has a lengthy criminal history of 42 arrests and 15 felony convictions. The suspect was apprehended in Delaware. Yesterday, U.S.-backed forces seized ISIS capital Raqqa. The Syrian city was one of the final strongholds for the terrorist group in the region and has been under ISIS control since 2014. About 270,000 residents have been displaced by the fighting and thousands of homes were destroyed. On Sunday, October 22nd, Montclair State University will host the annual North Jersey Band Festival at Sprague Field from 1 to 8 p.m. Be prepared for road closures and extra traffic. The New York Yankees are playing the Houston Astros at Yankee Stadium tonight for Game 5 of the American League Championship Series. The score right now is 5-0 Yankees in the bottom of the 7th inning. The series is tied at 2 games apiece in the best of 7. The next game will be played in Houston at 8 p.m. on Friday night. The weather tonight, 65 this evening with a 0% chance of rain and 66% humidity. Tomorrow, expect highs of 73 with a low of 57. I'm AJ Malula with your WMSC News Update.
Thank you, AJ. And we're back to the interview with Will Wood and Will Wood and the Tapeworms. I'm just going to have a little bit of Dr. Pepper before we kick everything off.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Will Wood. Pleasure to meet you. I'm not meeting you, but if I were, I would say pleasure to meet you, because I'm polite like that. Welcome back to the show. You're listening to WMSC Radio 90.3, voice of Montclair State University. You can listen to us here, 90.3. You're already listening to us. I don't know why I'm telling you where you can listen to us. What is up? Where did we leave off?
He's holding us hostage.
He's holding us. He is so
Send
well.
help.
I'm not well. Before our break,
Wait, you are Will.
Ew.
He's Will Smith.
I had to
dude.
do it.
Ugh.
I had to.
Get out.
I feel
You're
you
right.
just touched me. It was.
Well,
Show's
I'm
over.
glad.
For those of you just tuning in, my name's Will Wood. I play with a band called Will Wood and the Tapeworms in the tri-state, quadri-state, Cinco de Mayo state area. Let me think. You can find me at willwoodandthetapeworms.com. willwoodandthetapeworms.com. That's willwoodandthetapeworms.com. Call 1-800-WILL-WOOD-AND-THE-TAPEWORMS. Go to Instagram/TapewormsMusic for more information. That's at TapewormsMusic for Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter.
Where can people hear your music?
You can hear my music on Spotify, Bandcamp, and Tidal. That's
about
right.
Pandora?
And Pandora. You can
There you go.
find me anywhere that music is streamable. And you can find me in your closet at night.
Make sure to see them on your Pandora.
Make sure to see me after the show. Hey,
Can people buy CDs or anything?
Yeah,
of
you can
your
buy
sorts?
CDs at willwoodandthetapeworms.com. It's where you can find all the merch, all the upcoming show dates. You can find you can find videos to watch, music to listen to. Oh, so for those of you just tuning in, I had a little bit of a moment before the break where you ever just wake up? You ever have that experience where you just wake up? You're just like kind of hanging out and you just remember that you exist, and suddenly you have to force yourself to be mindful and interact with the world around you because you go, oh no, I'm gonna die someday. I gotta get out of here.
Yay.
And so that's what I'm sorry if I'm coming across as a little over energetic, a little overstimulated or overstimulating. I am not feeling myself because I'd get kicked out of the radio station if I were. Yeah.
Oddball Frequency 2017. It's
Great
all
name for what's
here.
happening.
So, I guess to kick everything
Yeah.
back into place, do you want to ask your thingamajig?
Yeah. All right. So the question is, how do you go about the process of writing a new song?
I can't say I have I don't have an answer for you. I'm sorry, man. Every song comes out differently. Some of them wriggle out after years of incubating in your skull. Some of them you have to like cobble together out of like a chair leg and a grandfather clock and a copy of an old Playboy magazine you found in your father's sock drawer. Sometimes you just have to like throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. Sometimes you have to actually use the wall. So I can't say that there's a process. It's not like making a person where there's only one way to do it. There's 1,000 different ways that I've written songs, and every time I write a song, I go, how did I do that? I'm not sure. I can't even remember. All I know is that the last 4 hours of my life are gone, and I have something that's terrible.
Do you ever
as a result of
do you
it.
feel as though like trying to do it? If you tried to do it the same way every time, you might like get bored of it. So just
Yeah.
like. So a lot of people like say, I know there's like some artists like, yeah, I always start with the percussion or I always start with the melody. Like, do you just like find yourself just doing something random, like, oh, I did the vocals, and then I randomly this happened and this happened, and it just randomly came together?
No, it's all at once usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's I am working on one thing, and then I give up on it, and then I start working on another thing,
And then you meld parts
a
of
year
the old
later,
one.
and they come together somehow just by
Yeah.
accident.
What was the oldest song you wrote that got onto your first album? Or second album, maybe?
Nothing is new. Nothing is old on my second record. The second record is all songs that were written after the first record. A wise man once said that every musician has their whole life to cut their first record and then 6 months to cut each subsequent one.
Exactly, yeah. That's the sad truth.
Yeah, and so it's but the first record has a song that I wrote in high school. Aikido, Neurotic Erotic, I wrote that, I guess, neither 11th or 12th grade. About somebody, well, not really about anybody in particular, but as a reaction and a sort of self-exploration of some of my feelings about a couple of different people that I had crushes on over the course of that period of time. A very soft-spoken girl in my art class who I had nothing in common with and didn't really know.
But you always hoped
You always
I
said
always
she would
hoped.
ask you out.
Yeah.
Always hoped.
I always hoped. Of course, it never happened. But,
Here we are today.
Yeah.
As being someone who's been a part of many different music projects, how have you seen yourself evolve and change throughout each and every project to, make the Willwood that we are in the studio with today?
I'm not entirely sure how many musical projects I've been involved in. Like I said before the break, I am missing the entirety of the year 2012 from my memory. I've been informed that I was in a number of different bands at that point, but I don't recall. I've listened to the music and been like, "Well, that's terrible."
Glad I don't remember.
Glad I don't remember making it, but also sucks that I'm stuck with the memory of having done so.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm stuck with the results of having done so.
Exactly.
But I don't, I really don't know how to answer that question.
Mhm. Can you look back at your high school self besides neurotic, and you could just look at all the songs you wrote back then and you're like, yep, that's going on the new record right there. That's all gold.
No. Yeah, I didn't start doing the whole musician thing until years after I had written a bunch of songs. Some of the songs on Everything Is a Lot I had written shortly prior to starting recording.
Yeah.
But for the most part, those were songs I'd collected over the years.
Cool. So it's pretty much just a collection of, years prior and whatnot.
The best things that had come out of those times, yeah.
Also,
what I felt were the best things.
Also, massive props to the first album, just sounding as good as it is. I feel like the production is really good in the recording.
Wow, really? On Everything Is a Lot?
Personally, I feel that, honestly.
Well, I mean, we had John Maisto recording it, and he's a phenomenal engineer and a phenomenal producer. But as I was saying before the break, that thing was cobbled together out of nonsense and chaos and misery. I was drunk for most of it, and during the other times I was high. It was not well done. So I'm glad to see that it came out well.
Yeah, personally, I felt like with your music, production is pretty good. It just sounds clear. Every little instrument and whatnot, every little Wilhelm scream, it's all crystal clear.
Well, thank you. You can credit the producers I've worked with, John Maisto and Kevin Andresian.
Shout out to John May Stone. Also, that reminds me, massive shout out to my partner in crime at the Land of Milk and Honey at FYE in Paramus Park, New Jersey.
That's the Land of Milk and Honey?
Because without her, I would never have met Will Wood or known about his music, and she helped me get him on the show. So, thank you, Kat.
Thanks,
You're
Kat.
the best. Thanks, Kat.
Kat's an old friend of mine. She's great.
Yeah.
She's helped out a lot behind the scenes. So
cool. Yeah, I've seen her in a few music videos and whatnot. Helps. Bunch of little stuff. How did the third eye design come about?
if I tell you, it stops working.
Ooh. Is that the answer?
Yes.
And then moving on then. Has the band's popularity blown up more than you expected, or were you kind of confident from the start that it would, get to where you are now?
I was confident from the start that it didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
In the sense that I would keep doing it, regardless as to whether or not I was doing well.
I respect. That's me with the show. I know it's never gonna go anywhere, but it's fun to do, and little stuff like that. So I respect that.
It's just it became. This guy's distracting me. He's scrolling through my website on
Are
his
you?
laptop next to me, and I'm just
sorry.
I hope everything looks okay.
There's a typo.
Well, actually, everything about it is awful. I'm sorry to tell you.
What are you, a web designer? What are you, a
Uh,
web design critic?
He's a
actually am
techie guy.
programmer, So
Yeah, well, program me a new website then.
if you pay me
I'll give you
a nickel, thanks.
I'll
I got you.
regurgitate the candy you gave me, and you can have it.
Oh, that's some good payment.
Get to work.
What was I
I'll
saying?
be done in 5 minutes.
What was the question again? I'm
Oh
sorry.
God, what were we talking about? The third eye, and then it was the band's popularity blowing up.
Oh, for me, it was kind of just I am bad at everything else in my life. a lot of things that come pretty easily to other people are impossible to me. Holding down a day job, for instance. I worked at Macy's for a while, and I had to quit because I was spending so much time in the restroom hiding away from customers and staff, pushing security pins through my thumbs so I could feel something again. So I'm not cut out for regular life. And I've dropped one too many plates of moussaka on customers' heads at restaurants. So
Intentionally and unintentionally at the same time.
Usually intentionally. But so it just became a matter of what else am I going to do with my life? And I guess for some reason I figured I would rather be broke than
work
doing
at
something you hate.
Staples all your life.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Being broke is something I hate. So, people talk about like, oh, I just want to do something I love. I love not being broke.
Same.
But I also want to, I also need to do this particular thing. It's not something I really have a choice over anymore. I was going to do it whether or not it succeeded.
Yeah, totally.
But chasing success was something that I was focused on because for no other reason, just because it's a game. That's life. It's
competition.
It's a neat little game that you get to participate in, and then you kick it.
Yeah, you get a little bit of time. You get to do whatever you want in that little bit of time, and then just have fun with it. At the end of the day.
There's just like a lot of people want to escape from the rat race of life and all that, and I can respect that, and I can totally understand it. But at the same time, I kind of like sticking around and watching the rat race unfold.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as I remember that it's not real and that it is just a game, it can stay fun.
Exactly. It's all pretty much a game, which is, kind of relieving in some sorts.
Oh, absolutely. I've always felt like that's a lot of what people would consider to be negative things. I think can really be considered positive things when it comes to a personal philosophy. People always think of nihilism as being this philosophy you take on where you don't care about anything, you hate everything because nothing matters.
Which is only partially true.
If you ask me, it's not at all true. That
really?
Nihilism is more the recognition that nothing has any inherent significant meaning, and so that leaves the world as a blank slate.
Yeah, and you have to make the meaning yourself.
Right,
which is a challenge onto yourself.
It's also liberating because it means you don't have to take this world seriously. You don't have to participate if you don't want to. You don't have to do or be anything. There is no right way to exist. And so, it's freeing in that regard.
Yeah, and it's also kind of like exciting in the sense like literally anything could exist or be true in the universe. Like our God could be a plate of spaghetti for all we know. We don't know. Maybe we'll find out someday. Who knows? And it's just like stuff like that. Like literally anything can exist or be a thing in, infinite universe. Anyway, what were we talking about before all that?
I don't.
The Third Eye, the band's popularity, and then spaghetti somehow. I guess we'll just move on.
So hungry.
Yeah,
I want to eat
not
God.
helping.
Delicious
I bet God tastes amazing.
I bet he does.
I bet he does. Just add a little bit of salt before anything.
I mean, I've had Frosted Flakes. That's God, right?
You think God tastes like Frosted Flakes?
I think God tastes like whatever you eat.
True. That's very true. But a little bit more like spaghetti, in my opinion.
You must eat a lot of spaghetti.
Spaghetti's pretty good.
Shout out to Phil.
I'm not much of a pasta guy. I'm very picky about what I fill my stomach with.
True.
And while I enjoy pasta, I'd rather get filled with cake than pasta.
Amen to that.
I don't like the use
amen to that.
I regret my use of the phrase "get filled."
Does that include cupcakes?
No.
Okay.
Show's over.
Get out.
So, you seem to have gained quite the super dedicated fan base. And have you ever met anyone that's just blown your mind with how much they're into the music?
Yes.
You don't have to give names, unless you want to.
There's been a few people who have blown my mind and at times kind of scared me. But it's always come from a good place. It's never come from a place of malice. I had this one fan, a schizophrenic from Schenectady, who was one of the kindest people I've ever met in my life, and very smart and charming person, but I had to cut them out of my life because they were informing me that they had had visions of my face months before they had ever heard my music. And, as much as I want them to enjoy my music and I want to be this person's friend, it comes down to, all right, this isn't healthy for you, and it's not healthy
at the end
for
of
me
the
either.
day, like, it's just music.
And I try
and
to be
I just want to like make you happy at that level.
right, and I try to be friends with my fans as much as possible. But the problem is that a number of people forget that entertainers are human beings too.
Yeah, big time.
And they treat them like commodities as opposed to
They're gods in some sort.
You have to make the music I want you to make, and if you don't, then
That too. That's another thing.
and also a certain amount of entitlement. If I met Andrew Bird, I would feel very entitled to his time. Not because I actually felt I earned it, but because I wanted it. And I wanted it more than anybody because I love Andrew Bird. You hear that, Andy? If you're listening, you're not. Never mind. But tweet. Big shout out to Chris McRae if you're listening. I love you. There's what was I saying before I said tweet?
Something
Andrew
about
Bird.
like,
Oh well, just
musicians are just human beings too.
and people tend to take meeting somebody whose work they really appreciate a bit too seriously, and they always say never meet your idols, and I never understood that until people
Until you
started
became
saying,
an
"Oh,
idol."
you're my idol," and I started being like, "Get away from
Like,
me
I
for
get
your
it now.
own well-being." I am nowhere near the person you would need me to be in order to walk away from this interaction happy and satisfied.
Yeah, none of us are role models. We
Right.
just want to be musicians.
Right. And
Um,
so, I have to when somebody meets somebody who they're a fan of, they have so many preconceived notions about who that person is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I think it's especially true with my work because I tend to make such a loud statement and go to such over-the-top lengths to express myself. So I think a lot of people with very bold feelings for themselves and very big personalities, they get drawn to me, and they expect me to be somebody who can necessarily relate to them, and I can't always. And I feel bad, and then they feel bad too. So
everyone feels
yeah, everybody walks away feeling bad. That one fan with such a sweet person, it's really a shame they're suffering from such a severe illness, made this hat for me.
Oh, that is a great hat.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought that was like official merch. Not
I
even,
wish
Not
that'd
even
be
lying.
awesome. And I've had other experiences where people have just outright harassed me. People have, not exactly threatened me, but come close to almost
Yeah.
threatening me.
Was it because of the fact that your music is very liberal and your like atmosphere seems very liberal and open to pretty much anything and everyone?
I think
if you know what I mean.
I think a lot of people, they draw a lot of their own conclusions about what I do, which is great. I want that, but they also draw them to parallel their own.
Yeah.
Nobody listens to a musician and says, "Oh, this guy's got opinions that I disagree with based on his poetry. I'm going to keep listening to him." No. Anybody that you're a fan of, you're going to interpret their work in a way that matches your own personal needs as a listener. So I've also had people cry.
Yeah.
And
I believe that.
And it's always been a tough position to be in because I've never felt like there was any reason for it.
Cry from joy, I guess.
I don't
Or
know if joy
sadness?
is the
I mean,
right
during a
word.
show or like when you were talking to them?
After a show,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
at the merch table. And that's always been a weird experience because I am not worth anybody's tears. I am not a good person, let alone a hero. And so somebody who comes up to me crying, it's tough. And it's moving because I think to myself, wow, I've actually really done a good thing for this person. But at the same time,
really
I've
did
made them
something.
cry, so maybe not. And also, I can't live up to that
Yeah.
because
Well, you kind of did. I mean, if you made music that caused that kind of reaction, you almost did in some way.
I guess to a certain extent, I can see where you're coming
Music
from.
is very visceral for people.
Music
so
is like probably the most personal
Yeah.
entertainment medium.
it's very emotional. I mean, depending on
There
who you
is.
are. I mean, you might not think of it, but like something could hit someone just like the right way.
I guess you're right.
yeah, like the Beatles
And the
mean
words that
everything
you
to me.
say in that way at that time when they hear it just really mean something
It's a
to
hefty
someone.
responsibility for a very flawed human being to take on.
Yes.
What was it? Oh, man, I had a really good question during all that. By the way, before I forget, it is top of the hour at WMSC Upper Montclair. That's a thing I gotta say. Now, this kind of bleeds into what we were just talking about. What was the most, just the craziest experience you've ever had with a fan, whether it be sad, happy, violent, off the top of your head, or one of the craziest,
Jeez.
You want to come back to that one?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't love talking about fans because
True.
they're people
Yeah.
who they're sensitive and complicated people, and I want to respect even their most troubling character traits.
Can you
as much as
answer?
possible.
Could you answer what was your favorite moment with a fan, or one of your moments? Because you don't want to put everyone else under the bus. One
I don't
of your
know. I'm
favorites.
sitting here kind of regretting talking about the girl with the hat. Because I'm, it's tough.
We can come back to those or
Yeah,
whatever.
I just wouldn't know, how to pick, and I wouldn't know what to pick, and I wouldn't even necessarily be able to define a good experience from a bad experience, just simply because they're such outlandish experiences so often.
Yeah, exactly.
There's something so endlessly alien and new about interacting with some of the more hardcore fans.
Mm-hmm. I guess shifting over to music videos, what were some of your favorite moments for recording some of your music videos? I loved Chemical Overreaction. That was the first music video I saw by you, and it just set the bar really high for you. And I'm just like, okay, I want this guy in the show right now.
I'd say the music video for Mr. Capgrass Encounters a Secondhand Vanity was the most fun for me to do. Everybody's naked, everybody's having a great time. You don't really see the 4 ex-lovers of mine that I had invited into the studio to perform with us.
Oh, but they're there.
You see them, yeah.
They're
If I don't know if I should be saying this, but you can catch a little bit of nipple a couple times on YouTube.
You're gonna get removed.
What?
You're gonna
YouTube did not hear that.
YouTube just heard you. You're going down.
Yeah,
Your
I'm sorry.
career just ended.
Sorry, Google. But that was a really fascinating experience. I was recovering from a pretty severe back injury, so I had a head full of Vicodin, and I was naked with 8 other people in a photography studio in front of a psych wall, and 4 ex-girlfriends or whatever were there naked with me. And that was an interesting experience, and we all
sure.
kind of rolled around the ground and created what would have been a porno had the cameras kept rolling.
Exactly.
So that was quite an experience. That was a weird one. That night was something that really stuck with me for a long time following.
Yeah. Also, one of my favorites. I really like "Hand Me My Shovel." I'm going in.
That was a great time. Directed
It just
by
looks like so much fun, but I felt like there were so many. There had to have been so many takes.
No, there were 2.
What?
Yeah, Hand Me My Shovel, I'm going in. That was directed by Mark Jaworski, Front Bottoms, Fueled by Ramen, Rolling Stone photographer.
That's funny.
and,
My neighbor's brother is in the Front Bottoms.
Oh,
that's,
right
That's
on.
pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Another group that we might try and get on the show sometime.
Right
Cool.
on. Yeah, really interesting, really talented guy. Eccentric as all heck. We have that in common, but he has his unique ways of expressing himself. He likes to procure ancient artifacts and eat them. He took me to his
Metal.
apartment and he showed me a piece of an Egyptian tomb that he had taken home with him when he was on a trip to Egypt, and how he planned to cook it into his next spaghetti dinner. And he sent me home with a bag of sand stolen from King Ramses' tomb. So
Delicious.
a really interesting character and a very talented filmmaker. It was one take, and it was one shot. It was a continuous shot, one take film. And fun fact, if you look on the bottom right-hand corner of the shot, you can see my father shoveling cottage cheese into his mouth.
I would never have noticed that, but now I feel like that's the only thing I'm going to notice when I watch that.
You are going to
now.
notice it. He's
It's
eating
gonna be
cottage
the only
cheese.
thing. Who's the skeleton guy all the way in the back?
That's my girlfriend, Christina.
That's
Yeah.
that's awesome.
She made that costume.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. Oh my god. So, oh man, I had another pseudo question between all that. Well. So, as someone who's trying to make a living off of your music, how do you feel about the polarizing differences between fans purchasing music and streaming music? Is there one that you kind of prefer in a way?
Of course, I prefer when people purchase the music because
Yeah.
that money goes to me and that helps put food on the table and keep my daughter fed. But if they're not going to do that, I hope they stream as much as they possibly can.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't make people do anything they don't want to do. I can't be like, hey, purchase my music or you're a jerk. I'm not, gonna Lars Ulrich myself like that. I'm not gonna make some public stance about how down with streaming. Rhapsody sucks. Or Napster. That's the reference I was
Napster,
going
oh,
for.
yeah.
It's Napster.
Yeah.
Yeah, Metallica.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
about to
They
talk about
really
Metallica.
did themselves in. Really did that.
But no,
Understand.
if you want to stream my music, stream it. If you want to buy my music, please do. Just make sure you buy it through iTunes and not through Bandcamp because
Exactly.
Bandcamp takes all my fucking money.
Yeah, exactly.
What's
it called? Do you have? I saw that you have some of your albums on Amazon. Is that connected through you, or is that just people selling it? Because I've always been curious how Amazon
That
pays.
money gets sent to me.
That gets sent to you. I've always
Yeah.
been curious how Amazon pays, because technically you're at that point you're buying
Well, I mean,
it from Amazon.
No, either if it says it's new, then it's through,
And
it
it's
would
like-
go to him. But if it says used, that people can put things up for sale.
Yeah, then it's
Yeah.
just Amazon
Then there's
at
just
that
people
point.
flipping their old stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they send me money. They send me more than Bandcamp. People love to talk about Bandcamp as this champion of indie music, but they take a weird amount of my money.
That's funny. I've always heard the opposite, but I never
Yeah.
heard it from an artist before.
I'm gonna tell you that iTunes, big evil Apple Music iTunes, gives me way more.
What about
of a
Google
cut.
Play?
Google Play? People don't really listen to me on Google Play.
Yeah.
I don't think people listen to much of anything on Google Play.
As far as streaming
wrong?
goes, the Spotify number
They don't
one.
do. They don't do. Well, that's not streaming. It's purchase
Oh.
music.
Oh no, I'm saying as far as streaming goes, do you get the most from Spotify as far as listeners?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I get.
At least in the United States. Overseas, I get more from Bandcamp.
Oh yeah, Bandcamp is much more global,
Yeah.
I'm sure. What? So I guess we're wrapping up near the end of the interview. I was going to ask you what your favorite beer was, but since you don't drink, do you prefer 1% or 2% milk, or fat free if you like to live
I'm a
dangerous?
skim milk guy.
Skim milk.
But at the end of the day, almond milk.
I was just about to say,
Wait,
or soy or
better
almond
question: chocolate or strawberry milk?
milk. Ooh.
Strawberry.
There you go. He is a smart guy. See, this show we don't like chocolate milk drinkers.
I too like to
Really?
live dangerously.
So yeah. Yeah, not a beer drinker. Not
Mhm.
really a strawberry milk drinker either, but if I'm going to drink milk, it's going to be almond milk.
Yeah,
for
if
the
you have a
most
gun
part.
pointed at your head and you have to drink one or the other, like, I guess strawberry's the answer.
I really don't ever want to be in a position where somebody points a gun at my head and says, "Drink milk."
That is,
Which
that is
milk
a very,
are you drinking?
I want to know that guy's story as to why he would do that as well.
Right? What a guy.
I
Or
wanna
what
see
did
it
you
now.
do to make him want to do that? That's about.
I must have not drank the milk he wanted me to drink, or
Like, to a huge extent.
maybe he's vegan and he's angry.
So I guess nearing the end, how, again, can people check out Will Wood and the Tapeworms and your music?
You can go to Spotify and just check out Will Wood and the Tapeworms. You can find me at willwoodandthetapeworms.com. It's got links to streaming, downloading videos, our merch site, our list of our upcoming events, and pretty much everything you could possibly want. Social media links. Instagram is at Tapeworms Music. It's the same thing for Snapchat and Twitter. I am very active on all that stuff. Occasionally I post provocative photos. I am very attractive. For those of you listening, not
As
those
you
of you
can-
in the room.
As you can all
Yeah,
see.
Because
I might-
those of you who are listening might believe me.
all that good stuff.
All that good stuff.
Pandora, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Just-
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much
the-
anywhere you can listen to music or interact
answer you
with somebody on
expect,
social
you-
media.
Also, if you
I'm
type
there.
Will Wood and Tapeworms into Google, there's not much more besides you. It seems like
No, there isn't.
that's a very specific.
Also, I
thing.
hate to say it, but when you go on Spotify and type in Will Smith is the first result.
Yeah,
he just
you're not-
dropped a dubstep tune. It's terrible.
Yeah, I heard he dropped
It's
some.
so
Yeah,
bad.
I miss like Wild West. Like that was the golden
I liked
age
his.
of Will.
I like the really cheesy '90s rap he did.
Which like Fresh Prince. Well, that was
All the
Wild
whole-
West.
the
No,
whole
all
stuff.
just
The
everything
whole-
from the
Yeah, all of
'90s.
his-
all his really cheesy rap.
All of
I
his
like 90s rap.
beautiful 90s rap is great, and all of his like super clean,
Yeah.
like, beautiful rap. And yeah, I guess last question of the night: what is Will Wood and the Tapeworms?
Guys, music is distracting me.
I'll lower it a little bit.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Will Wood and the Tapeworms is it's the well, I could keep it short and just say it's a band. It's
Show's over.
yeah, right. But it's with any luck, it's more than that. To some people, apparently it is, and I consider myself very lucky to have made a difference in some people's lives, even if it's just entertaining them. For me, it's my peace, it's my passion, it's where I pour in all of my angst and confusion, and I try to turn it into something that can be productive instead of self-destructive. It's my creative outlet. It's where I put everything that I come up with or think of, or all of my ideas or my fantasies. I put them into it, and I try my best to make it all come to light. And it never does the way I expect it to. And it's always something so different from what I ever intended. So Will Wood and the Tapeworms is more than my creation. It's the creation of the people who listen to it and who watch it and look at it and experience the show. It's just as much their creation as it is mine. As I was saying earlier, nothing has any inherent specific meaning. All things being subjective, all things being open to interpretation, there is no right way to look at it. So to say what Will Wood and the Tapeworms is, it's a tough thing to tell you. I can tell you what it means to me, but it is absolutely not that. When you put it out into the world, it no longer belongs to me. It's not mine anymore after it's become public. It's the public domain. Other people define it just as much as I do. And so, like when you asked whether it was tripping music or drinking music, I really wanted to say, well, it depends on who you ask. And no matter who you ask, whatever their answer is, it's true. But everything that all of my ideas, my little runaway imaginations and experiments all go into this project. I wanted something that could encapsulate everything I make and include everything I make, my art, my paintings, my drawings, my songs, my writing. It's all part of this one thing that is meant to be more than just a band, and hopefully a reminder to some people that life is nonsense, and that if you can make sense of it, you are lost, and you are very wrong. I want to create something that when people get involved in experiencing it or consuming it in any way, they are reminded that there is no right way to live and no wrong way to live, and that they're reminded that nothing has to be one way or the other, that they can kind of absorb it and remind themselves of what they need to know in order to live the way they want to live. So I'm seeking to make more than just an art project or more than just a musical project, and hopefully trying to build a community and trying to build something that we can all share in, and we can all get some kind of comfort or at least entertainment from. So yeah, Willwood and the Tapeworms is absolutely nothing.
Beautiful.
It's everything and nothing.
It's everything and nothing at the same time.
Just like everything else is also everything and nothing at the same time. Nothing defines everything and vice versa.
Will Wood and the Tapeworms, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks so much for having me on the show, guys.
This was a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Am I out of here in a sec? You guys gonna pop me off the air and start playing some electronic music?
Yep, pretty much.
All right, cool. So one more time, my name's Will Wood. I got a band called the Tapeworms. You can check me out at willwoodandthetapeworms.com. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat at tapewormsmusic. You can call 1-800-WILLWOOD and the Tapeworms. Just kidding. Can't do that. I mean, you can. You're just not going to get me. If you want to get me, you got to call 551-795-4028. I hope that you can't remember those numbers quick enough, because otherwise strangers are going to have my number. Send nudes. I will... don't send nudes.
Please no.
Do not send nudes. I do not experience that kind of attraction.
Especially if you were under 18, because that is an illegal offense.
Of course,
yeah.
This is FM radio. Why would we want to say that?
Also, I'm a completely asexual being. I don't do any of that. So don't do that. And what else do I have to say? You can listen to me on Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp, anywhere you can stream music, you can do that. Anywhere you can buy music, please.
Yeah, please buy it.
And you prefer CDs? You prefer when people actually buy the physical?
I would much prefer that, yeah, because then I get to show off my art in addition to it. You get to have a piece of my art. You can buy it signed. And
also make sure to buy on every platform, and then also get 5
buy
versions
13
of
copies.
Oh,
13.
and if you really like what I do, it would be so cool of you to join my supporters on Patreon. We got a lot of fun perks for people who join in, including free merch, free tickets to shows, fun little packages with gifts, and you get to see behind the scenes stuff. You get to hear music before it's released. Get to see videos before they come out, get to see everything before it happens or before it comes to fruition, even if it doesn't ever come to fruition. So I'm talking about like demos of songs that never end up being released. Get an inside look into what everything that goes into Will Wood and the Tapeworms, and also make me very happy and feed my daughter. So you can join us at patreon.com/willwood and the Tapeworms, patreon.com/willwood and the Tapeworms.
Also, there's some pretty cool custom things you do on your website, like signed posters.
Yeah, I do.
CDs,
I do
and all the
signed
other stuff.
posters, signed CDs. I offer a lyric art on canvas or paper, depending on what your budget allows for and what you're looking to do. I also do art commissions All you have to do to contact me is email me through the website, or you can just find me on Facebook. Add me on Facebook. Will Wood on Facebook.
At least
you can't
start
miss
with
me.
that.
I'm the guy who's wearing a funny hat and a suit and big glamour glasses and lipstick. You can't miss me. I got
And
a
then
third
you
eye
s-
on my forehead.
And then you also have the contact button on your website.
I do. You can't. I'm so easy to get in touch with. I'm so easy to get in touch with. I'm too easy to get in touch
You're
with.
saying you're easy. Okay.
I'm so easy. I'm actually really hard.
Okay.
I'm so hard. Which is why I'm so easy.
Yay!
Yes.
Easy to be hard. You ever listen to Hair? Here's my favorite.
New
Anyway,
song.
thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for listening to my babbling. I apologize for waking up halfway through. I need to go listen to some Alan Watts lectures now.
That's who I would go to.
And yeah,
God, not even lying. Just make you feel better.
yeah, awesome, great meeting you. Thank you, blah 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 blah. Smooches, hugs, good night.
Beautiful.